Well, welcome to the first of this week's Geospatial-Next Crossing the Chasm talks. You'll see behind me I've changed the image. We've got a nice bridge. To me that represents crossing the chasm. Of those that are new to this channel, haven't watched any of these talks, we're really talking about geospatial moving from a niche to the mainstream. That's what we mean by crossing the chasm. And in this particular talk, I'm very excited because I'm actually going to be talking about a fascinating Geospatial-Next company and its story. And this is the company, Lacana, Everything Location. So let's dig in. So before we get started, let's just begin by considering what characterizes Geospatial-Next. Now, this conversation has been going on for a number of years now, and what drove me to it and what others are now realizing is that the geospatial industry is now at an inflection point. And what's that driven by? Well, I've spoken at length in previous talks about the new data we're now collecting. We've gone from a world 10 years ago where we had limited amounts of location-based data to now this new world where new sensors are generating data from satellites, from aeroplanes, from drones, from the ground, from indoors, IoT, all part of that world. That's a new automated method of collecting data. So we now have a tsunami of data. We've also got new analytics, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning, which can not only process that data, but also analyze that data as well. And the third piece of this pie, and that some of this has been driven by COVID, is this wider recognition of the value of location and geospatial data. So what I've tried to do in these Geospatial-Next talks is really to provide a new perspective, and many others are doing similar to me that recognize we're at this inflection point. So the goal really, my goal in doing these talks has always been to explain, to expand, and to raise the message around what this new world we're looking at is. And the goal of that really is to help organizations understand what this all means to them and how they can take advantage of it. So that's what characterizes Geospatial-Next. And what really has happened, at least what I believe I'm seeing happen, is two paths. There's this whole idea of location intelligence. Now, location intelligence applies to the understanding of data that has a locational component to it. And we've seen this emergence of this new world within the geospatial world, which is focused on leveraging artificial intelligence and these new data sets. So we've got this vast space economy which is being funded, where we're sending constellations of satellites into space to collect new imagery, radar. We've got the whole IoT world that's exploding. So we've got this world of location intelligence, which in some ways is actually evolving separately from the traditional world of geospatial. And that's where I categorize geospatial sciences. I put GIS in there as a primary part of that world. That's not to say that GIS isn't key within the locational intelligence world, but we have these two worlds which have emerged. And in many ways, when we talk about, in my mind, is connecting those worlds. So let's talk about Lacana, Critigen to Lacana. So those of you who've never heard of Lacana, it's because Critigen have just rebranded to Lacana. So why would a super successful company like Critigen want to rebrand? You've just seen this diagram. There are some primary factors as to why the company have rebranded, and those are very much based around some of those things I just spoke around in the Geospatial-Next world. So let's dig a little bit deeper. And for those of you that haven't watched any of these talks, I actually work for Lacana. So my perspective is, again, I'm always cautious when I do these videos that I present bias, but the reason that I joined what was then Critigen was exactly for this reason. I was talking about the things that the leadership within Critigen, now Lacana, were already thinking about. So it was a perfect match, a perfect marriage, if you like, for us to work together. So these are very close to home, and this rebranding is very close to home as well. So let's just talk very briefly about Lacana, and I class Lacana as a Geospatial-Next company. And of course, again, they're close to home, so I know in depth why that definition is very accurate. But as a company, day to day, the company's done a lot of foundation building. So The company does a lot of data work. The company works with GIS and open source GIS platforms and in general geospatial technologies. So building that foundation out is what a lot of where Lacana, Critigen have been successful historically, and with particular verticals as well. There's utilities, transportation, local government, state, and the non-profit world as well. So quite a spread, very well known within the geospatial universe as foundation builders. But also connectors as well. Spatial connectivity is something, or spatial integration, to be more accurate, is really where Critigen have built a name for themselves, Lacana. And that expresses itself in bringing together, integrating ArcGIS as an example, and SAP, ArcGIS, and Salesforce, and other business platforms. And you've seen other talks that I've done where it's my strong belief that geospatial, if embedded within existing business tools, is one path that we're going to actually spread the word on the value of location and actually demonstrate its value to an audience that frankly doesn't understand GIS or geospatial. So that connectors piece and the integration component of that is really, really important, I think, moving forward. And then the other piece is innovators, and I got a title of Geospatial Innovations Director at Lacana. I keep wanting to call it Critigen, Lacana. So my role is really working within those two other components there, the foundation building piece and the integration connector piece, to actually think through how we can express and share the value of geospatial. So we're really exploring, not just from a technical perspective, from a business perspective, how we can actually expand the use of this technology to those that don't understand it but clearly have geospatial problems that need solving. So it's a pretty exciting day today. That this is the day that Lacana was announced. So the rebranding happened today. I wanted to talk about it in this Geospatial-Next talk because it ties in so closely what I've been talking about for the last 2 years. So it's exciting for me to actually be able to talk in more direct terms about what it actually means, not only for the journey that I've been engaged on in Geospatial-Next, but also my day-to-day life in evolving that in the Lacana world. So good stuff. You'll see a lot more. I'll probably do more videos about actually what this means. But you'll see lots of press releases and things today. So it's kind of an exciting day. That's me. Geospatial-Next is our logo, which is a bit blurry. I need to change that one. You can reach me at matt.sheehan@lacana.co. You can also reach me at Matt Sheehan Geo Matt Sheehan, I should say, in social media. And I look forward to doing more talks. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, there is a subscribe button either beneath this or over there somewhere. So subscribe and you'll get automatic notifications of when there's a new video that comes out. So thanks ever so much for watching.